The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, optimism from the International Monetary Fund as they believe the end of Sri Lanka's debt problem seems to be in sight. Japanese projects that were stalled due to the financial crisis are given the green light to resume. The nation's new terminal at the Bandaranaike International Airport is also included. The week ends in the green as the Colombo bourse manages to have mixed trading in the first week of June. And Adani renewable energy projects come under heavy criticism by the opposition, especially on its tender process.
From Studio 24, here's Sina Mayadune.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The International Monetary Fund says there is a strong expectation that Sri Lanka will soon reach agreements with external commercial creditors consistent with program parameters. Julie Kozak, Director of IMF Communications Department, said during a press briefing that there has been sufficiently strong progress on the debt restructuring front.
Kozak confirmed that on the 12th of June, the IMF Executive Board will meet to discuss Sri Lanka's second review and Article 4 consultation. She stated, responding to questions, that in Sri Lanka they do see macroeconomic policy reforms starting to bear fruit. Commendable outcomes include rapid disinflation, robust reserve accumulation and initial signs of economic growth while preserving stability of the financial system. She also stated that the next steps on the debt restructuring are indeed to conclude negotiations with external commercial creditors and to implement agreements in principle with the official creditors.
As noted, on June 12th, the Executive Board will meet to discuss the second review and the Article 4 consultation. In Sri Lanka, we do see macroeconomic policy reforms starting to bear fruit. Commendable outcomes include rapid disinflation, robust reserve accumulation, and initial signs of economic growth while preserving stability of the financial system. Program performance is strong, with most quantitative and structural conditionality for the second review met or implemented with delay, and reforms are still ongoing in some areas. The next steps on the debt restructuring are indeed to conclude negotiations with external commercial creditors and to implement agreements in principle with the official creditors. The domestic debt operations are largely completed. Debt restructuring discussions are continuing. More specifically, the authorities have been holding extensive discussions with external official creditors regarding an MOU with the official creditor committee and the final agreements with the Export-Import Bank of China. Discussions with external bondholders continue with the aim of reaching agreements in principle soon. Negotiations with the China Development Bank are also at an advanced stage. There is a strong expectation that agreements with external commercial creditors consistent with program parameters will be reached soon. So overall, we assess that there has been sufficiently strong progress on the debt restructuring front.
Mayor Ellen Stenner, Ambassador of Norway to Sri Lanka and India, visited Sri Lanka recently and was engaged in constructive dialogues with key stakeholders. Ambassador Stenner also had discussions with Foreign Minister Ali Sabri, where the positive trends of investments and increasing tourist inflows from Norway to Sri Lanka was discussed.
Ambassador Stenner also had discussions with Foreign Minister Ali Sabri, where the positive trends of investments and increasing tourist inflows from Norway to Sri Lanka were discussed. Other crucial topics such as reconciliation efforts, economic reforms and ongoing Norwegian development initiatives within Sri Lanka were also addressed. Parties reiterated their commitment to sustaining the close partnership between the two nations, underscoring mutual interests in various sectors. The visit marks a pivotal moment in the strengthening of bilateral ties between Norway and Sri Lanka, as Ambassador Stenner engaged in constructive dialogues with key stakeholders, including President Ranil Wickremesinghe and several other politicians. Her visit was supported by the Honorary Consul General of Norway in Sri Lanka, Mano Sekaram, and the Consulate Office.
Japan will restart their stalled development projects funded by yen loans in Sri Lanka as soon as the official creditor committee agreements are signed next month. The government is to sign an MOU with the OCC of the Paris Club to restructure the country's debt before the completion of the IMF Executive Board review of its extended fund facility arrangement next month.
Speaking at the Sri Lanka-Japan Chamber organised event in Colombo, he said that these include Bandaranaike International Airport Development Project, digitalisation of Sri Lanka television process and water projects in both Kandy and Anuradhapura. He said that all projects will restart once the OCC agreements have been signed and they would not wait until the entire debt restructuring process is completed. Kotaro said they were very pleased with the robust manner in which Sri Lanka bounced back from its worst economic crisis, converting a negative 7% growth rate to a positive growth in just 18 months. They also see that Sri Lanka's economy will grow at around 3% in 2024. He said the main reason for this bounce back is a reform agenda adopted by Sri Lankan government on IMF guidelines, and future leaders too will have to follow this positive path. He also said that Sri Lanka's foreign reserves too have increased to around $6 billion and the country now has, minus swaps, sufficient for 3.5 months of imports, which aligns with global norms.
National tea sales average for the month of May 2024 recorded 1,266 rupees and 80 cents, showing an increase of 49 rupees and 95 cents in comparison with the April 2024 average of 1,216 rupees and 85 cents. In comparison to the May of 2023 average of 1,055 rupees and 45 cents, sales average showed a positive variance of 211 rupees and 35 cents and an increase of 83 US cents year on year.
Elevation-wise, high-grown average for the month recorded an increase of 4 rupees and 81 cents, while a decrease of 83 rupees and 38 cents and a positive variance of 10 US cents are recorded year on year. Medium-grown average for the month recorded a positive variance of 6 rupees and 87 cents month on month. However, in comparison to the corresponding period last year, it shows a decrease of 5 rupees and 36 cents and an increase of 32 US cents year on year. Low-grown average for the month recorded an increase in 72 rupees and 31 cents month on month, while year-on-year average shows an increase of 18 rupees and 35 cents in the corresponding period. High and mid-grown regions recorded negative variances during the period of January to May 2024 in comparison to the corresponding period of 2023 in rupee terms, whilst all elevations record a positive variance in dollar terms.
Sri Lanka government has decided to allocate a quota of foreign employments for retired military personnel after reports of over 15 deaths of former servicemen who had gone to Ukraine and Russia to take part in the ongoing war for money.
At least 16 Sri Lankans are reported to have been killed and over 600 likely to have joined as combatants, mainly to the Russian side, taking risk for higher salaries. However, an SKP has said over 200 Sri Lanka ex-soldiers have died in the Russia-Ukraine frontline amid drone attacks. The Ministry of Defence said the Foreign Employment Ministry has expressed willingness to provide a quota from foreign employment opportunities received by the government to retired military personnel and their family members. It said Foreign Employment Ministry had already said that a certain amount of construction sector job opportunities will be provided in Israel. The new job opportunities to the retired military comes as the Sri Lankan delegation is expected to leave to Moscow to have discussions over concerns over hundreds of the nation's ex-soldiers now joining the Russia-Ukraine war.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized the importance of focusing on products that can succeed in the competitive export market by prioritizing paddy production. He stressed the need to advance towards competitive agriculture by 2030 through the adoption of modern technology. He made the statement during the progress review meeting of the Agriculture Modernization Program convened at the Presidential Secretariat. As part of the Agriculture Modernization Program, 26 divisional secretariats across the country have each received all allocation of 25 million rupees. A report detailing the current progress of this pilot project was also presented to President Ranil Wickremesinghe. This report encompasses the initiatives undertaken by the Ministries of Agriculture and Fisheries with endeavours aimed at establishing youth agri-entrepreneurship villages and the involvement of the private sector in the Agricultural Modernization Program. The overreaching objective of this project is to utilize modern technology to competitively supply goods for the export market, thereby capturing a larger share of the export market, boosting foreign exchange earnings and enhancing the agricultural economy. Let's take a short commercial break. This is an Ali Business Report. Welcome back to the Nile Business Report. The stock market ends the week in style with 4 days of gains and a dominantly positive week. Both ASPI and S&P SL20 recorded gains at the end of today's trading session, closing off the week in a positive trajectory. For more on this, we have Rishit Pereira from SC Securities.
Yes, today the market indices recorded marginal gains as banking and non-banking finance sector showed renewed investor interest towards the latter part of the week. The all-share price index closed at 12,314 points, a marginal increase of 3 points, and the S&P SL20 index closed at 3,662 points, a slight rise of 11 points. The turnover was recorded at 1.274 billion rupees with a share volume of 38.1 million. The top gainers were Ceylon Merchant Finance, Non-Voting, Industrial Asphalt Ceylon, Nation Lanka Finance and Blue Diamonds Jewelry. The largest contributors to turnovers were Hat National Bank, Sampath Bank, People's Leasing and Finance, Access Engineering and Haley's PLC. Daily crossing volumes included 272,235 shares of Sampath Bank with a turnover of 21.75 million. The markets are poised for an exciting week of trading backed by hope of successful developments with external creditors.
The stock market showed a positive dominated week as 4 out of 5 days recorded decent gains. To get a summary of this week's trading, let's connect with Dimantha Matthews from First Capital Holdings.
This week, we've seen a bit of a recovery in the market as the market turned green and investor activity started to improve. The primary reason is that the positive sentiment coming off some of the announcements that is coming from the IMF. So we've had a recent press announcement also from the IMF and also from the governor and government. We are seeing positive announcements come in that the debt restructuring is almost over, and also the fact that there is agreements likely to be signed between the bilateral partners. So with this and the positivity that next week on the 12th of June the IMF board review is taking place, so all these factors have contributed to the positive sentiment of the market. We are seeing turnover levels significantly rise over the week and volumes also rise. So with it, what we are seeing is more and more retail activity coming back into the market on expectation of the positive news. Broadly, the positivity has been strengthened on the renewed buying interest on the banking sector, while there was also interest in the blue chip counters, especially led by some of the export counters and most importantly the one of the largest counters, John Keys Holdings as well.
Gold prices rose in Asian trade today, coming close to key highs as bets on interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve grew in anticipation of key non-farm payrolls data due later in the day. Spot gold rose 0.5% to $2,386.55 an ounce, while gold futures expiring in August rose 0.6% to $2,405.40 an ounce. The yellow metal was set for weekly gains as a string of weak U.S. economic readings pushed up expectations that the Fed will begin cutting rates in September. This notion pushed the dollar to 2-month lows. Oil steadied on Friday as OPEC Plus members Saudi Arabia and Russia indicated readiness to pause or reserve oil output increases, but crude was still headed for its third straight weekly loss on demand concerns. Brent crude futures were down 11 cents or 0.1% to $79.76 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 13 cents or 0.02% to $75.68. Crude fell this week on OPEC Plus's decision to phase out some oil output cuts from October and as rising U.S. inventories spurred concerns about the demand despite a rally helped by the Saudi and Russian comments. China, the world's largest crude oil buyer, showed exports grew for a second month in May, while imports data underlined concerns about weak domestic demand as crude oil imports fell. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated further against the US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today compared to yesterday. According to People's Bank, the buying and selling rates of the US dollar have increased from 296 rupees and 79 cents to 297 rupees and 24 cents, and from 306 rupees and 84 cents to 307 rupees and 30 cents respectively. At Commercial Bank, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased from 296 rupees and 9 cents to 296 rupees and 58 cents, while the selling rate has also increased from 306 rupees and 25 cents to 306 rupees and 75 cents. Now let's observe how the rupee behaved against the other currencies. Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. PickMe, Sri Lanka's premier ride-hailing platform, has collaborated with PhonePe, India's leading fintech company, to enable seamless UPI-based QR payments for the Indian travelers in Sri Lanka. The partnership signifies a major step forward in enhancing their travel experience through the convenience of cashless transactions on PickMe rides, right from the moment they exit the Bandaranaike International Airport.
Managing foreign currency and ensuring enough cash for various expenses while traveling can often become a hassle. By integrating PhonePe's UPI-based QR payment system into their platform, PickMe aims to minimize stress for Indian travelers visiting the island. The cashless payment option will make their ride-hailing on PickMe hassle-free and safer. Commenting on the partnership, Jeffrey Zulfa, CEO of PickMe, said that currently they are the only ride-hailing platform in Sri Lanka to offer such a service to Indian travelers, and they hope to continue to innovate so that they can make the ride-hailing service a convenient, safe and cost-effective mode of transportation for everyone. Ritesh Pai, CEO of International Payments at PhonePe, added that their partnership with PickMe exemplifies the company's commitment to provide Indian travelers with convenient and trust payment solutions, and that with PhonePe, Indian tourists visiting Sri Lanka can enjoy the ease and security of UPI payments for their rides. The collaboration follows the launch of PhonePe last month, wherein the Indian High Commissioner Aishi Santosh Jha had urged companies in Sri Lanka to engage with Indian companies to build on the UPI stack for innovations in hotel bookings, cab bookings and delivery services. The enabling of cashless transactions while being a convenience for travelers will also boost the local economy while providing more ride-hailing trips for PickMe's extensive network of drivers.
Halgola Estate, a subsidiary of Kalani Valley Plantations, proudly announced a historic achievement with a triple crown of world firsts at a press conference bringing together local and global stakeholders in the plantations industry. The announcement was made during a special ceremony held at the Kingsbury Hotel, attended by a prestigious gathering of dignitaries, industry professionals, sustainability experts and academics.
Commenting on Halgala Estate's landmark achievements, Haley's chairman and chief executive Mohan Pandithage said they are incredibly honoured to count such an exemplary estate among their ranks. Halgala's Region Agri certification was awarded after a stringent process, evaluating the estate's approach to farming that has to adhere to a variety of factors, including preservation of soil health, encouraging biodiversity, reducing greenhouse gas emissions and sequestering of carbon dioxide. These audits, known for their rigour and critical nature, ensure full transparency and adherence to the highest environmental standards. The established program also provides farmers with access to additional funding through carbon credit markets and environmental subsidies. Halgala Estate is piloting this groundbreaking project in collaboration with the Dutch Embassy and Wageningen University in the Netherlands. Halgala Estate has set up the world's first biodiversity conservation centre on the tea estate. This initiative represents a significant step towards preserving the rich biodiversity of the region and promoting sustainable agricultural practices.
Lancome Ceylon plc, a leading entity in Sri Lanka's corporate sphere, has formally announced plans to venture into fertilizer manufacturing with the establishment of a new plant in Oyamaduwa, situated within the Anuradhapura district. This initiative, in accordance with Section 8 of the listing rules, marks a significant strategic move for the company.
To oversee this ambitious project, Lancome Ceylon plc has established Lancome Minerals Limited, a fully owned subsidiary. The project's first phase requires an estimated capital investment and initial working capital of approximately 2.5 billion rupees. Construction of the facility is scheduled to commence shortly, with commercial operations anticipated to commence by the year's end. Spokesperson from Lancome Ceylon plc remarked that the primary objective of this initiative is to meet the agricultural requirements, particularly for non-perennial crops. Leveraging its established distribution network, including its subsidiary Sun Agro Life Science Limited, the company intends to market and distribute the fertilizer produced by the new facility. Lancome Ceylon plc is optimistic about the growth prospects in the fertilizer market and aims to enhance its contribution to Sri Lanka's agricultural sector through the strategic endeavour.
Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks were mixed today after a steady Thursday on Wall Street as markets anticipated key US jobs data that will be revealed later in the day. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 edged 0.1% lower to 38,661.04 after today's data showed the household spending figures in April were up 0.5% year-on-year. This is the first increase since February 2023, a key indicator to assess the country's economy as central bank officials prepare to hold the policy meeting next week. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index declined 0.6% to 18,367.73, and the Shanghai Composite Index was down 0.4% to 3,036.08, as China trade data showed that exports in May rose faster than expected at 7.6% compared to the previous year, while imports were weaker than market forecasts. Australia's S&P ASX 200 climbed 0.4% to 7,853.40. South Korea's Kospi added 0.8% to 2,709.63. Well, that concludes today's Nightly Business Report. We'll see you again on Monday with the latest happenings around the business globe. Until then, I'm Sina Mayadune. Have a good night.